There are a number of threads currently running on the Kermode Uncut blog. The most pressing is your best and worst films of the year so far. I did a blog in which I did my top and bottom 5 films of the year, and there have been so many responses from you. I'm trying to tabulate them at the moment, kind of get your list of top and bottom 5. I think I'll probably have that together next week, so bear with me. In the meantime, I wanted to respond fairly swiftly to a recent blog that I did about the director's cut of Ken Russell's 1970s masterpiece, The Devils. I did a blog from the BFI South Bank, the NFT, where there was a special screening of the restored version of The Devils with all the missing footage put back in. I pointed out this was first premiered actually there at the BFI South Bank for a horror season that I co-curated with Linda Ruth Williams, and we thought then, several years ago, that a DVD release would be forthcoming. It hasn't happened. No one's quite sure why, but it seems that the American studio that owned the film, Warner's, have anxieties about the movie, and I was saying, look, it's really important that people get to see it and that people ask Warner's to release the movie. Well, many responses from you. Here are just a few. This is from Eric Sargent. Please continue to badger Warner Brothers. It beggars belief that the finest film by the most neglected of British filmmakers is not available on DVD. This is almost a rerun of the difficulties one had in seeing Powell and Pressburger during the 1960s. I think that's a really, really good comparison. People now imagine that the Powell and Pressburgers were always available. They really, genuinely weren't. This from Brian in the New Forest, a slightly angry response. Perhaps the real way forward to preserve controversial materials would be to buy back the rights from the corporate cowards. You could even offer to remove their yellow-bellied company name digitally to sweeten the deal. Not sure whether Ken would indulge in a director's commentary, but it'd be good if he could. Well, there is already a director's commentary recorded. In fact, in preparation for the DVD release, we recorded a commentary with Ken Russell, Mike Bradsell, the editor of the film, and myself, and that's been ready for some years. And at one point, it was suggested that perhaps another organisation could buy the rights to the film, but that doesn't look like the way forward at the moment. It is something that we have investigated, but so far it has borne no fruit. I should also point out that a number of you said, you know, if you go to Amazon, there is on Amazon.com something available which claims to be a restored, uncut version of The Devils. Please avoid this. This is a really botched version done from taking a tape from the television and putting back in some of the missing sequences that were on the Hell on Earth documentary. It's completely unauthorised by anyone, including Ken himself, and believe me, it does a terrible disservice to the film. All the more reason why Warner should release the film themselves. In the absence of an official Warner release, people are making do with a terrible pirated version. They should have the real film available to them. This from some fella called Lime. Stephen Woolley is right. It is a political film rather than a horror or religious one. Whatever people may think of the film, it's an astonishing piece of work and reminds us that British film wasn't always rom-coms and corset dramas. This is the sort of thing that Kermode Uncut should be about. Carry on the good fight, and I hope to see The Devils at a cinema soon. We all do. Essentially, we all want to see The Devils released again, but most importantly, on DVD. There have been a couple of people writing in saying, why don't you start a petition? As I'm sure you'll know, there is a petition. I'm sorry if links to that petition aren't allowed to be put here on the BBC site. You can find it without much difficulty. The most important thing is to be public and vociferous in your support. Ken Russell is a genius. The Devils is his greatest work. The restored version is there, ready, waiting to go. It just now takes the studio to move. Come on, guys, the time to do it is now.